Chapter 16 of Far from the Madding Crowd, All Saints and All Souls. This chapter comes as a continuation of chapter 11, where we saw Fanny Robin and Sergeant Troy having a conversation about their marriage and Sergeant Troy promising Fanny to meet her later. In the previous chapter, chapter 15, we saw Fanny's letter reaching Gabriel Oak, in which she was announcing her marriage and how both Fanny Robin and Sergeant Troy would come back to Weatherbury to everyone's surprise. This chapter happens at the church, All Saints. It was a morning and the church service has ended. Here you can see the congregation, and when the congregation was about to disperse, they heard footsteps, and that was of a young in a red uniform. Here you can see a soldier in a red uniform. So this soldier, he walked to the altar. Altar is where the services happen at a church. So the soldier, he walked till the altar, and the crowd could see him talking to the clergyman, the clerk there. And from that, some of the women in the crowd, they reached an assumption that a wedding is going to happen. This man in the uniform would be the groom, and the bride would be coming later. "'Tis a wedding," murmured some of the women. "Let's wait." So the women decided to wait for the wedding to happen. Some of them even turned their heads to check where the woman or the bride is. Everyone was silent. The clock ticked on, and the crowd began to be restless. Some of them began coughing, giggling, so all this restlessness became more frequent. The man in the uniform was obviously embarrassed because he had been waiting for some time. But he couldn't see his bride. After waiting for ample time, he decided to leave the church. Thus embarrassed, yet not making it evident on the face, the young man left the church. Opposite to the church there was a square, and at the square he met a young little woman who appeared anxious. So this woman, she appeared anxious. And now with enough sense we can guess that the man was Sergeant Troy and the woman was Fanny Robin. Here let's go through what Fanny Robin said to Sergeant Troy. From chapter 11 we have seen that she calls Sergeant Troy with the name Frank. "Oh, Frank, I made a mistake. I thought that church with the spire was All Saints, and I was at the door at 11:30 to a minute as you said, waited till 11:45 and found then that I was in All Souls." So now we know that there were two churches near the square. One was All Saints and the other was All Souls. Sergeant Troy was at the All Saints Church, and Fanny Robin, by mistake, she waited at the All Souls Church. She also waited for enough time, and later she understood that she had made a mistake. Continuing, "But I wasn't much frightened, for I thought it could be tomorrow as well." What is it? The wedding. So she is saying that I was not so anxious because I thought, yeah, even the wedding can happen even tomorrow. We know that by this time, Sergeant Troy became furious. He was embarrassed in front of others as well. And so this was his reply. You fool, for so fooling me, but say no more. He is calling her a fool. And now Fanny is asking, shall it be tomorrow, Frank? She asked blankly. She asked whether the marriage can happen tomorrow. Tomorrow? And he gave vent to a hoarse laugh. I don't go through that experience again for some time, I warrant you. So now he is warning her that their marriage is not going to happen anytime soon. But after all, she expostulated in a trembling voice, the mistake was not such a terrible thing. Now, dear Frank, when shall it be? So she thinks that the mistake was not a terrible one because all these concepts like mistakes, truth, everything is relative. To one person, it could be a terrible mistake. To the other person, it wouldn't be. So now for Fanny, the mistake that she had done, in a way that was not voluntarily done, that mistake is a tiny one for Fanny. And so she is asking, when shall their marriage be then? How, when? God knows, he said with a light irony, and turning from her, walked rapidly away. This is the end of chapter 16. In this chapter, we saw Sergeant Troy coming to a church for his marriage with Fanny Robin, but Fanny Robin mistakenly she went to another church, and after waiting for enough time at the different churches, they met each other at the square, and there they had this conversation about when their marriage will happen, and Sergeant Troy dismissed the idea altogether and left the place. Thank you.